Welcome back everybody, my name is Tucker, this is Sporting Logically, and today is Trade Machine Tuesday. This is a weekly series where I take a look at a few players that are subject to trade rumors and try to find realistic deals for them. One quick thing to keep in mind is that many fan bases value certain players very differently than others, so there's bound to be a lot of disagreements in the comments section on who gets the better deal in each of these trades, which is completely fine, and discussion is the whole point of most of my videos. Just do me a favor and make sure you bring some facts to the table on why you value a player the way that you do, and actually have a conversation with people in the comments about it, rather than just attacking them personally or saying they don't know basketball or something like that. For the most part, you guys have been awesome in the comments. I just wanted to throw it out there as a reminder that debates are intended and encouraged. Let's just make sure that we go about it the right way. With that said, let's get started. First up is a highly suggested player from the comments section of previous videos, Russell Westbrook. With the Thunder coming off a disappointing season, some fans have come to the conclusion that a change of scenery is needed for both Russ and the Thunder to improve moving forward, and I tend to agree. The issue is that as of right now, there's so many variables with this team that make it difficult to project trades. It's unclear whether or not Paul George or Karl-Anthony will be on the roster next season, and both of those decisions will give us a clue as to whether the team would trade Westbrook either to jumpstart a rebuild or to just change up the roster and provide more depth while still competing for the playoffs. On top of that, finding matching money for Russ's $35+ million salary next season wasn't easy either. As a result, there are two scenarios here. The first is assuming that Paul George does not come back to the Thunder, and as a result, the team decides to buy out Carmelo Anthony's contract and reset the roster with younger players and assets. In this alternate universe, Paul George ends up in Philadelphia, LeBron James ends up in either Houston or Cleveland, while the Lakers are determined to add a star to their young core to start competing for the playoffs after a few down years. This one got a bit tricky, so it had to be a three-team deal. The trade is Westbrook to the LA Lakers, D'Angelo Russell, Kyle Kuzma, and Josh Hart to the Thunder, and Julius Randle in a sign and trade to the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, let's start with the Thunder. In my opinion, this isn't really a great return for Russ, but there's really not a lot of other options. In this scenario, they want to get younger as I mentioned, but the list of teams willing to give up young assets for Westbrook that also have the cap space to take on his supermax salary is not a very long one. They get back a good ball handler and playmaker in Russell, and two solid wings in Kuzma and Hart that could potentially grow into much more down the road. Keep in mind that this deal is after the draft because free agency has already happened, so the Cavs' first-round pick that is owned by the Lakers isn't available for trade. That would likely be the only other asset the Lakers would be willing to give up in this deal to sweeten it just a bit more. But again, it isn't available, though the Thunder could push for the player that was selected to be included as well. For the Lakers, after being left at the altar by George and James, they essentially used these assets and their cap space to bring in Westbrook in lieu of signing a player in free agency. This is a deal they wouldn't have been able to make had they signed either George or James anyway, because they're taking back much more salary than they're sending out, something that's only allowed because they're under the salary cap. With Westbrook and Lonzo Ball sharing the backcourt, the team is hoping that playing Russ off the ball more will allow him to unlock more parts of his game. And having talented playmakers like Ball and Brandon Ingram around him will take some of the offensive responsibility off of him so he can focus on becoming a more complete player on both ends. Though shot-making consistency will likely be an issue playing off the ball, the team should play at such a fast pace that there will be plenty of easy transition looks to make up for it. In terms of the assets they're giving up, Kuzma and Randle are the two biggest ones. Randle is a restricted free agent, however, and if the market for him turns out to be too expensive for their taste, then trading him isn't a bad option. Kuzma had a great rookie year, but late first and second round picks that have had big rookie years on non-playoff teams don't always continue that success down the road, so trading him while his value is high for a perennial all-star in Westbrook could provide good value in their eyes. Hart will likely become a solid NBA role player, but again, getting back a known commodity in Westbrook is worth it. For the Nets, they already have enough good guards to see D'Angelo Russell as a luxury, and balancing out the roster by adding Julius Randle in a sign and trade on a market-friendly $14 to $15 million deal in exchange could be a smart move by the front office. Giving up on Russell so soon after trading for him last year likely won't go over well with the fan base, but if the addition of Randle contributes to the team winning more games next season, all will likely be forgiven. All in all, you could honestly make an argument for each team to say no to this deal, while you could also frame it as a win-win-win scenario as well. Just keep in mind that the list of teams that are realistically able to take on Westbrook's salary is short, which could cause his value to be lower than you would expect it to be otherwise. The next scenario for the Thunder is that Paul George does indeed come back. They keep Melo on the roster assuming he's willing to come off the bench, but they're still looking to trade Westbrook to balance out their team and compete for the playoffs. The trade is Westbrook to the LA Clippers for Tobias Harris, Patrick Beverley, two European players who I know, but I'm not going to be able to say their names back to back, and the players selected with the 12th or 13th pick in the 2018 draft by the Clippers. For the Thunder, this is all about depth. With Beverley, Andre Robertson, Harris, George, and Steven Adams, Billy Donovan will have the best defensive starting group he's ever had in OKC. If they're able to bring back Jeremy Grant in free agency, the team would have a ton of long athletic wings on the floor at all times, with the others being Terrence Ferguson and Josh Hustis, while also having Alex Abrinas and Patrick Patterson available to space the floor, and Melo off the bench to provide an offensive punch as well. Though trading away Westbrook would be a tough pill for the franchise to swallow, doing so may just give them a better chance at postseason success. Turning their star guard into versatility at both ends would be a really intriguing strategy, though certainly a risky one. If it doesn't work out, then everybody they're trading for will be a free agent in 2019 anyway, and they will have gotten rid of a ton of salary that will allow them to reset even further. For the Clippers, they'll have to be really active in free agency to fill out the holes in the roster that this trade creates. They're giving up a ton of depth in exchange for Westbrook and the star power he provides, but if they're smart about it and bring in the right pieces around him, they could have a really intriguing roster moving forward. Bringing in Russ might convince DeAndre Jordan to either opt into his deal for next year or re-sign with the team, while bringing back Avery Bradley would give them a great backcourt for years to come. Add in Lou Williams and Austin Rivers coming off the bench and a few floor spacers via free agency, and they could really turn some heads in the West. Again, this one is a risky play for both teams, but they could end up reaping great rewards as a result of their respective gambles. Moving on to a player that I didn't expect to cover in this series this offseason, Karl-Anthony Towns. Rumors surfaced late last week that the big man is reportedly unhappy in Minnesota, immediately sparking trade rumors for a player coming off of his first All-Star appearance this past season. The first one isn't so much an actual trade I'm proposing, as it is a question for you guys. Karl-Anthony Towns to the Phoenix Suns for the number 1 pick in the 2018 draft. Who says no? The Wolves could quickly replace Towns by drafting big man DeAndre Ayton out of Arizona, or provide some much-needing playmaking by adding Luka Doncic, while the Suns could provide Devin Booker with an immediate all-star caliber teammate in Towns. So again I ask, who says no in your opinion? Let me know down in the comments below. Now on to the actual trade, which actually combines this entry with the next one. The trade is Karl-Anthony Towns and Jeff Teague to the Trailblazers for Zach Collins and Damian Lillard. If I know anything about Tom Thibodeau, it's that if he does trade Cat, it will be in exchange for at least one proven player that can contribute right away to get them to the postseason. Enter Damian Lillard, a great offensive player that would be a perfect fit in the backcourt with Jimmy Butler. Both guys can play on the ball and make things happen, or space the floor off the ball, while the other creates an isolation or ball screen situations. Butler would also take on a lot of defensive responsibility as he has his entire career, something Lillard nor his current backcourt partner CJ McCollum can say about themselves to this point in their career. Losing such a good young player in Towns and a starting caliber point guard in Teague is tough, but this is pretty good value assuming that the big man is actually unhappy as a Timberwolf. For the Blazers, this deal helps them on a few fronts. First, it saves them about $4 million, which gets them even further away from the luxury tax threshold that they desperately want to avoid. Second, although Jeff Teague isn't a great defender by NBA standards, he should provide more help to the team on that side of the ball than Lillard, providing a bit more balance to their backcourt. But the real prize here is obviously Towns, a versatile big man coming off an all-star appearance in just his 3rd year in the league with a skill set that isn't often seen but is extremely valuable. Trading away Collins after seeing some of the flashes he showed as a rookie wouldn't be easy, but Cat is a great young player and the Blazers would be happy to have him. While getting him also means they can let Yusuf Nurkic and or Ed Davis walk in free agency if they so choose, once again saving them even more money. Now on to the last trade of this week's episode, and it involves this week's Trade Machine Tuesday community choice, Damian Lillard. The trade is Lillard to the Denver Nuggets for Gary Harris and Wilson Chandler. Okay, I can already tell this is going to be a controversial one on both sides. Let me explain. For Portland, the name of the game in any Lillard or McCollum trade should be either to get a more defensive-minded backcourt for whoever they keep, or to save money and get younger. This trade is focusing on the first part. Harris and Chandler are both good active defenders that can space the floor and attack off the catch offensively. I'll admit that if I made a list of players that most people probably don't love as much as I do, Gary Harris would be on that list. He's still just 23 years old, is coming off a season in which he averaged almost 18 points a game on nearly 40% shooting on over 5 attempts per game from the three-point line, and has gotten better in every season he's been in the league. I know that Lillard is an all-star and he's a great player, but if things aren't working in the backcourt for Portland, getting back two really good two-way players to continue to push for that postseason success that has eluded them as of late in exchange for Dame would be really good value to me. For the Nuggets, when you look at their roster after this trade, it actually creates a lot of exciting possibilities. With Lillard and Jamal Murray, they have an explosive backcourt, albeit one that will struggle defensively, while having Paul Millsap and Nikola Jokic in the frontcourt creates a really interesting four-man group to me. Versatility and two-way contributions across the roster could be an issue, but if they play at a fast pace, then this group would be an offensive powerhouse. Lillard and Murray can both space the floor as shooters when they want to use Jokic as the offensive focal point, while their new backcourt can provide more playmaking on the ball when the big man is struggling than their former backcourt could. Again, I could see why some Nuggets fans might not want this trade to happen, because they might love Harris the same way that I do, so I completely get it if you disagree, but I think this would be a really awesome and exciting team to watch that could really make some noise in the West. And that is the end of the list. Thank you all very much for watching. If you have any players you would like to see covered in future episodes, then be sure to let me know down below. If you liked the video, then leaving a like rating is a great way to let me know. And if you'd like to see more videos just like this, then be sure to subscribe to Sporting Logically for more content every single week. Thanks again, and I will see you all next time.